sort a bit because I had them sorted and now I feel like they're not. That kind of goes there. I have a lot for some of these and not so much for others. It's kind of weird. Okay, well, we're going to start with the obvious because why not? Because obvious. So obviously there are two books that I do try to make sure that no matter what I read them. I'm about a third of the way into the Googe for this month. I'm done with the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge book. And so I have a new Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. This month it's a different time period. Last month was contemporary for me. It was submitten by 4 different authors. And this one is When the Meadow Blooms by Anne Gaphardt, which I think is after, yeah, it's after World War I in Kentucky, because I think she pretty much only writes Kentucky. We're awfully close to it. I have a sticker in my little toe and it hurts. So I will be reading this one. I've been wanting to read it for ages. I did actually start it. I think I got 2 or 3 chapters in and then had another interview, so I couldn't continue. And I do want to finish it because so far I was loving it. So When the Meadow Blooms is definitely a read. And then I will be continuing the Elliott family trilogy with Pilgrim's Inn by Elizabeth Googe. I'm reading The Bird in the Tree right now. And I'm really loving the first one. I started off and I wasn't so sure. It was starting kind of slow, which hers tend to do. They do tend to start slow. She does a lot of setup. It's kind of an info dumpy setup almost, where you just get a whole lot of backstory in randomness, which I've done myself, but I don't think it's that difficult to get through like hers. I don't know why. But so this one's a little chunkier than that one. Not that it's chunky, it's only, I don't know, 370 pages. So it's not technically chunky, but compared to this one, it is definitely another quarter bigger or so. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, that's a will read. And I'm excited about November because I don't really have anything but Thanksgiving going on. I don't have any book releases this month. I do have to finish a book and do all the editing and all that stuff in that book, but it's not a big, you know, there's no travel. There's just nothing. It's beautiful. And I have no idea how excited I am. So those are my absolute givens. And then I'm doing the Fall into Faith by Read Love Journal, or Read Journal Love, or I'm so sorry. Is it Kathy? Katie? I think it starts with a C or a K. That's really helpful. I'm not prepared today, but that's okay. I'm trying to do this before church, so I don't have time to be a decent person. So they have 4 prompts. They have surrender and eschatology and service and prayer. So I'm going to start with service because that one was the easiest. I knew the minute I saw service that I wanted to get the major and the missionary. I bought it already, but I wanted to read this one because when I bought it, I was like, yes, because yes. And I'm really, really excited about it. Oh, look, there are actually pictures of them in there. I missed that before. So this will be my service book because she is a missionary and he served in the military, which I know isn't faith, but I suspect, I really do think that C.S. Lewis's time in the military definitely impacted his faith, both for the positive and the negative, depending on where his brain was at the time. You know, I think he was able to see things differently once he came to Christ. And so that was kind of cool. And then, you know, obviously her being a missionary with the service there. And it's funny, she was a missionary to Papua New Guinea, which is where I wanted to be a missionary to when I was 12. So yeah, that's my service. But then I've got so many things. Let's start with eschatology. So I have a whole lot. I think most, oops, this is not eschatology, that's surrender. I have 4 different books that deal with end times, eschatology, Revelation, Matthew 24. I've got 4 of them. And like right now, we're going through Revelation in church. And these are all from an either preterist or partial preterist view. I lean closer to partial preterist, and I do think a lot has been fulfilled, but I want to understand the full preterist which is why I think I like these. See, like this one bothers me. It says, expectations demand a first century rapture. Well, I have a hard time with that word rapture, because while the concept is definitely in the Bible, the word isn't. And so we put a lot of understanding on the word, and I don't think they're talking about what everyone else is talking about, and that really bothers me. So I think I'm going to say no to that one. Matthew 24 fulfilled. Goodness, that book is dirty. What happened to that book? Looks like someone like dropped hot chocolate. I've never read this book, and it's been up on my shelf. Whatever. So Matthew 24 fulfilled is a strong contender. I did get the More Than Conquerors, an interpretation of the book of Revelation. When we were going through Revelation in our Bible study, we actually wrote the book of Revelation out and tried to understand all the stuffness. So I'm kind of leaning toward this one too. But then the survey and research, I'm like, this is so hard. This is so hard. So I think I'm going to choose one of these, and I'm going to do it. I'm closing my eyes, so I don't know. I'm not going to take the time to pull up a random generator. I don't have a clue as to which it is. I'm going to go like so, and then I'm going to pull one out. And I have Matthew 24 fulfilled. Okay, so this is what we're doing. So that's my eschatology. I'm putting this in there, and then I'm going to have to wipe it down because it is dirty and it is bothering me. It's like, what on earth? I don't want to know. That's really the truth. And then there was one on surrender. Now, surrender was hard for me. I came up with a few ideas for surrender. First being, I have 2 books on John Sevier, who was, he's a Tennessee, I think he ended up being a governor, maybe, of Tennessee. Pioneer, soldier, statesman. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was something. But the story of John Sevier goes that the fort that they were at, I can't remember the name of the fort, it's probably Sevier, but the fort that they were at was being attacked by local natives, and so everybody was running into the fort. One woman didn't make it, and so she's trying to get over the wall, and she had decided that if she didn't get over that wall before they got to her, they would not get to her. And so to me, that's kind of a surrender of yourself to the Lord. It's like, okay, you know, your will, Lord. And so that's kind of cool. She makes it. John Sevier saves her. And then there's a whole story about them later. But it's actually a really cool story that I'm going to novelize, because I'm fascinated by it and I think it needs to be novelized. So yeah. So I have these 2 books about John Sevier. I feel like it's a stretch. And I know that there is a faith element in his life, but I don't know if it's in these books. So I'm going to say no to those. I'm going to say no. Okay, so those are a no. I have this box of Lewis classics. I have read several of them. There's 8 of them. Mere Christianity, Screwtape Letters. Screwtape is a no. Miracles is a no. A Grief Observed, yes, that could be one. The Great Divorce, The Problem of Pain could be a yes. The Abolition of Man and the 4 Loves. So I'm thinking I could do A Grief Observed or The Problem of Pain. Either one of those would be good. This one also has Surprised by Joy, but I think I'm going to stick with one of these. So if I do Lewis, it'll be, let's choose one. Problem of Pain or we'll do A Grief Observed. So if I go with Lewis, we'll do A Grief Observed. But then I also have Rut Rotter Revival, and it's by Tozer. It's the only book of Tozer's that I've read that I really loved. I've only read a couple of his. The others were kind of like meh, but this one was really, really, really good. He has some good stuff. I'm not saying all of his are meh. It's just the other 2 I happen to have read, and I can't even remember what they were because they left that much of an impression on me. This one I kept, and I have kept for 25 years or more. I feel like there was something in there. Yes, there is a heart. that one of my children drew on about 20 years ago. I think I'll just keep that in there because that's cute. I bet you anything if I ask my kids, one of them can tell me which one of them did it. That will be fun. I think I'll do that and then I'll write on the back who did it. But why not? Because reasons. So that could be good. It says in this powerful collection of prophetic messages. Okay, that right there, just, if I had read that before I read the book, I would not have picked up the book. That bothers me. But we're just going to move along from there. So, I'm having a hard time because after reading that, I don't want to pick up the book. And that's wrong because I know that what I read in here was good. And this is what someone else is saying about it, not what he definitely said. So don't be that person, Shoshona. Anyway, the treacherous enemy facing the church today, the problem of getting out of the rut and into revival, the problem of sleeping Christians who control church affairs, the difficulty of breaking the status quo, the need for sweeping reformation, and the need for restoring the faith of Christians to a belief in the truth. So I don't know. You know what? I've already got a block. I need to read this when I haven't read that. So because I have so many to go from, right? Okay, and then I have Elizabeth Googe, A Book of Faith. I know nothing about this book. Absolutely nothing. I bought this at the next page. I don't remember doing that, but okay. South Adams High School Library. This was in a high school library. This just makes my heart sing. 1976. So, okay, this is interesting. This book brings together some of the things that poems and writers have said about faith. Not only faith itself, but about the people and the things and the experiences that can kindle faith. It is a very mixed collection for simple as well as profound things arouse faith in us. And power to express the emotions that we all feel varies as much as the emotions themselves. Oh, and then that's exactly what it is. It's just poems and statements. A lot of poetry. Actually, there's a lot of poetry. But then there are like some little essay-ishnesses. So that's the Prayer of the Ant. Interesting. So I was not aware that this is mostly, but not completely poetry. There are a little bit of like essay-like things as well. So that's kind of interesting because some of this will fit surrender, but I feel like I'm not going to do this justice. But I think I will leave it out here to kind of peruse through because I think it still fits the nonfiction November, and so we can do that. So then I don't know why I brought this in because I don't think this has anything whatsoever to do with surrender, except both of them did surrender to Christ, but that just seems like a stretch. So I'm going to set that aside. And then we have two, and I've been wanting to read Langle's Crosswicks journals. I really, guys, there are this particular set of books with the flowers on the cover. I am looking for number 4 in this binding. If you have any clue where I can find one, I want one so bad. I will pay good money for that book because it's going to drive me nuts that book 4 doesn't match. You have no idea how much it's going to drive me crazy. Yeah. So there's this one, and it's supposed to be about these are just like from her journals, but there is definitely a surrender quality to her, and I have been really wanting to read these. So this is a definite possibility too. So I'm leaving this with, no, if I have a choice between A Grief Observed and this, I want to read this. So Lewis is out of the picture. And I've created a Tetris pile over there that will not survive. If there's an earthquake right now, if there's a bug on the floor, you're going to die. No, just kidding. And then I have the cost of, oh man, there's no question. I want the cost of discipleship. So I might just leave this over here in case I get to it. But for my surrender, I'm doing the cost of discipleship. I've wanted to reread this book for so long. And I love this book so much. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was an incredible guy. So, yeah, I'm going to read this one. But I am going to leave this one in here just in case, just in case. And then finally, there's one on prayer. Now, see, my idea was I will read one each week. That's pretty reasonable for me. But if I do this thing that I want to do for prayer, which my prayer sticky note, like, lost all its sticky. It's really sad. But if I do what I was thinking about doing, it's not one a week. It's the whole month, but it's very little for the month. See, because what I was thinking, I have these books of common prayer. And I just finished a book where the guy has not managed to cultivate a prayerful life. Extemporaneous prayer in particular is not a big deal. And guys, I can't believe I did it. I was going through it last night looking for quotes, and I found that the word extemporaneous was missing from the sentence, and none of us caught it. So it makes him into a total liar at the beginning of the book, because he's like, he hasn't had an extemporaneous prayer in ages. And then later he's praying all the time. And you're like, what? This is too natural for him. Well, because I left that word out. But his thing was, he was having a hard time praying. This is backstory. It's not in the book. But he was having a hard time praying, having a hard time cultivating a habit of prayer. And so what he did is so the Westminster Chimes, those have a prayer that go with them. So he started with that. And then there's also a prayer for every hour. Oh, I want to reread the Book of Hours. I'm going to have to hit pause and go get that book, because I think that would be a great one for this month after doing, yeah, okay. But there is a prayer for every hour. And the little village there in New Cheltenham has a clock that chimes every hour. And so when he hears those chimes, he prays. And it's a one-sentence prayer, but he prays that prayer during that hour. And it was a way to train him. He reads the Book of Common Prayer. He reads the daily readings and the prayers that go with that, just to kind of cultivate. And see, I've always kind of had a hard time with scripted prayers. I just didn't feel right or real or something. It just really bothered me. But I can see the value of it, as long as you don't use it as instead of using it as a bridge to a more open communication to the Lord, if you use it as like a box to check, that wouldn't be good. But it kind of remembered, way back when they used to have books. You could get a book of form letters. And, if you needed to write a letter to someone about a certain issue or whatever, you could flip through it, find a sample letter, write the letter, make changes to fit you or not, and send it off. Well, if all you ever did was just use those form letters without making any changes and without eventually learning to write one yourself, then that book has become a crutch and it is not genuine and authentic. But if you don't know how to get the words on the page, but you need to communicate with someone, and you use something like that to make that happen, that's forging communication, right? And so I was like, this would be kind of a cool thing. So I kind of wanted to do what he did for a month. And so, but that kind of feels like almost cheating, because it's going to be crazy short. I'm not going to read the whole book. There's no way I'm going to read this whole book, because they have, and I don't know which one I'm going to do. My friend got me this one in England, and the font, believe it or not, the font on this one, or typeface, it's not a font, it's typeface, but the font on this one is actually bigger than on this one. This one has pretty little illustrations. I might read both and kind of compare. There's a table for days. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. See, I don't even know how to use this thing. I really don't. But lessons for holy days, lessons for Sundays, the calendar with the table of lessons. So, okay, so there is a chart at the beginning. So see, I'm learning something. What we're learning together. Yeah, you probably know all this, but that's okay. Let's see if I can see it in this one. But I really kind of wanted to see the order for morning prayer and evening prayer. These are things that he's done. And I just wanted to try it. But, so there's that prayer option. But I also have these books by Ryan Whitaker Smith, which I discovered is Michael W. Smith's son. and Dan Wilt, who I haven't looked up yet. But I don't remember why I looked up his name. Oh, because they've got another book coming out. They've got it just came out in August. It's something about winter. I don't know. It's something about winter. It's Chesterton's Christmas devotions. And so I've got that in my cart at Baker Book House because I'm going to, no, I think I've got it in my cart on Amazon because I'm going to, yes. So I could go through these. I feel like I wouldn't want to only do half of Psalms. So I would really need to do both books. But, I mean, they're prayers of the Psalms. And so it's not dense. So I feel like I could do it. And I might be able to do both. I don't know. What do you think? Which one? Do I do this or this or this? I don't know. So there are those. And I've got quite a pile over here because of this. And because of that, I only have 4 more fiction books. So that's prayer. I'm going to put prayer inside my little book. My friend Ann got me for this in a little English church while they were out hiking. And while I was in the prayer garden at a little Baptist church. Very sweet little Baptist church there near Hawkshead. And it wasn't in Hawkshead though. There's another town. I can't remember what it was. But it was really sweet. And I love that she got this for me. This just made me so happy. So there's that. But then when I was editing my last episode of Because Fiction, I remembered how much I loved, seriously loved talking to this gal about her book and her characters and this world she's created. And she even has a podcast. With like snippets from the newspaper from this place. So you could it's just so cool. So I decided, yes, without a doubt, On Moonberry Lake by Holly Varney is going to be a November book. Lorraine Snelling said, delightful, charming, full of characters who take up residence in your heart. The best of news from Lake Wobegon and Father Tim combined. And they are marketing this as contemporary romance. She and I both agree that it's probably more like romantic women's fiction. There's a romance thread and it's hilarious. The romance thread, oh my goodness. Very sensible dentist and this flighty gal who, if she can make a fool of herself, she will. And it sounds like it's very much like Holly and her husband. And so that was really fun. But yeah, so this was as soon as I listened to that again, I was like, yes, I forgot. I have to read that book like today. So I'm waiting until Wednesday. It's going to be tough because I will probably read that before anything else. That will be, yes. And then I decided I want to read this so much. The Columbia River Undercurrents, Books Afloat, the one about them having a floating library and to kind of help protect the Columbia River from Japanese in World War II. So yeah, I'm excited. I just, when I saw it on the shelf, I was like, yeah, I want to read that. There are so many I want to read. Oh, there's one more down here that I was going to get. I forgot. Yes, I want this one too. Oh, planner out. Oh, and there's Terry Todd's. No, Shatona, you can't have them all. You just, no, because no. Ah, it's killing me. Killing me. I keep saying all the ones, all the books. No, don't, I won't look. I'm not looking. I'm not looking. Nothing. I'm not looking. So, I slipped one more on there. Just saying. Yeah. Everything's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. So, I also grabbed, this will be a fast read. They have been up so far. I think this one's the thickest one of all of them, and it's still only, it's like a 5x8, and it's only 276 pages. But, I mean, if you look, yeah. So it's Legends. It's the third in the Shallows series, and it says, an unwanted adventure, a mystery enemy, and a breathtaking sacrifice. What? Emerson has plans to stay in his cozy workshop and work in peace as autumn and winter pass. This is perfect. plans to work hard enough to distract himself from Saraya Begley's absence. Plans of becoming a successful inventor in order to, well, he's not thought that all the way through. But all of his plans are ripped away in one evening when Elton Thorne returns from a quest and unwittingly brings dangerous pursuers straight to the Cadwell's doors. Kidnapped from his home and captured into an adventure he didn't ask for, Emerson enlists Sarah and Coral to heal Iante. I can't read it. To heal this woman's mind. Perhaps she will know who's pursuing them and why. And I'm just going to stop there because I don't want to know anymore. But yeah, so this series has slowly gotten tiny itty bit more romantic, and obviously his brain is thinking he needs to make preparations for something more permanent in his life. But it's been really mild, so I've loved it. But yeah, I can't not finish this series. I'm really having fun with it. Denver Evans, Shallows, Phantoms, now Legends. So there's that. And then, so I just pulled this one out. Yeah. It's the next one in the Rose Cottage Book Club, and it's why I bought the first one, but I wanted to read them in order. And if I love this as much as I think I'm going to, I will buy the next one. And then the next one. And then I think there's like 12 of them or something. So they usually do them in 12s, I think. So this one, it says, the start of the summer on Nantucket, wrong season, but I don't care, brings fresh opportunities and a dash of drama for the island's newest resident, Luke Harris. With his law office set up next to Rose Cottage Books, he's ready and eager for business. His first client, Stella Jones, contacts him with an unusual request. Her son-in-law, a successful stand-up comedian, gets many laughs at her expense, and she's tired of being his comedic victim and wants to sue for defamation. Ooh, okay, just stopping right there. There's a lot more on the next page, but I'm not going there. It looks like we're going to pack a lot in this book, which means it probably should be pretty fast-paced. And I bought this book because I talked to her on the podcast about another book, but then she told us about this one, so I got this one and the other one. And yeah, so I enjoyed the other one. There were a few little tiny problems, but not anything that my books don't have. Everybody's book has some little problem for somebody, right? But I really did enjoy it. I may have even given it, I'm sure I gave it 4 stars. I may have given it 5. I don't remember. I don't remember, but I really loved it. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's got to be 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, there's 12. So yeah, excited. I had to add that. And last but absolutely, definitely not least, I've been saying I'm going to be doing this all along. And so definitely Fawkes, I will start reading it on the 5th of November, which is number 1 grandson's birthday. And yeah, we always remember the 5th of November. We cannot forget, which is cool. But this one is the one about that they've got like a stone plague. Thomas Fawkes is turning to stone, and the only cure to the stone plague is to join his father's plot to assassinate the King of England. And it's just going through and showing, I think it's like a color. Is this a color magic? And then I know she's written like Romanov and The Wistress. Do I need either one of those? Will I like them if I like this? My book is glued, my end papers are glued together. Huh. Anyway, so I'm excited about this book. You have no idea. I read quite a bit of the first 2 to 3 or 4 chapters when I was writing Twice Sold Tales. I needed it so that she could talk intelligently about it to someone. And I don't even know if I kept that scene, but that's what I started doing. So now I want to read this. So those are what I'm going to read. I had forgotten all about my little cards that are buried under some of these books now when I pulled these out, and when I came in and I set them down and saw those cards, you know, the ones that I said, hey guys, help me with. Well, nobody gave me a brilliant, absolute, I must read it because that's the best argument ever. So I'm using that as my excuse for why I didn't. Actually, the truth is I forgot, and I didn't want to start all over because church is going to be starting soonish-ness. I don't know when, but soon. And so I need to get out of here and actually get dressed for church because Antober just, yeah, it's not really what I want to wear at church. But I had to wear it for this because it's almost the last day I can do that. I will wear it again, or maybe I'll wear my red one. So glad I live in a world where there are Octobers. One of those for my wrap up. At this point, I have 1 bingo, and I should have 2 by the end of Tuesday night. So that's good. And yeah, that's what I think I'm going to read. So now I got to pile all these books up. I'm going to say there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 8 books that I planned or considered reading for October that I didn't get to, which was kind of sad, but also not sad, you know? Also not sad, because I knew when I made that list, I was making a huge list, but I really wanted, options, and I wanted to fill up the board in case I could. I knew it probably wouldn't happen. And sure enough, when I got home, I would have had time if I didn't want to spend time helping my girls move in and do the things that they needed to do. And if I didn't have a book that had to be finished, edited, and uploaded or anything like that, right? So yeah, it was a thing, but I hope I can do what I want to do. I want to show the nonfiction pile and the fiction pile without dropping them. We shall see, we shall see. Okay. Trying to stack them in a way that they won't go sliding all over the place. My goal will be to read the ones that I'm definitely doing. I just knocked some of those cards to the floor. That's good. But my goal will be to kind of make sure I do the definite Fall into Faith. I will link their videos below, but I want to try to do those first, read those before I look at any of these others. And if you have any ideas about like the Psalms and the Book of Common Prayer ideas, I definitely want your opinion on that. And if I rejected one for something else that you really think, no, you should do that, I want to know why. Because, you know, I'm not married to anything except the book. As far as service, I'm married to this one. It's the only one I brought out. This is it. But the rest, I'm willing to change. So, these are much lighter than these. This is this is not easy. But there they are. Oh goodness, my wrists are not strong enough for this. Okay. Down, down, down. But here, this is why, guys, this is why I make a big list, because I really don't care if I don't finish them all. It's not, this is a, you know, some people call it like a pile of possibilities or whatever. Well, yeah, that's kind of what they are. But for me, they're just, you know, books I want to read, and these are the ones I'm going to prioritize. But that doesn't mean that I'll even read from these. If I find something else, I'm going to choose it. I want to read, not to have read. Does that make sense? So anyway, that's what I'm reading. What are you reading in November? Are you doing anything for nonfiction November? Are you doing Fall into Faith? Is there some book that I don't even own that you go, you will want that for Fall into Faith, like Surrender? I thought about doing Nancy Lee DeMoss's book because, you know, it's Surrender, right? But I did that last December, I think. And I'm like, not ready to do that again. There's too many that I haven't done that I want to do. And so I was like, yeah, no, there's some over there that are like calling my name. And I'm like, no, these are my options. But if you have something that you know I will love, particularly for surrender and for prayer, let me know. Meanwhile, I'll see you next time.